If I told you you could become the hottest, buffest, most talented mother effer on the planet with a 900-day mewing streak while infinitely farming aura to Riz the Huzz, you'd probably say, Unk, you are 25 years old, please stop talking to me like this. Solo Leveling is an anime that has undoubtedly captured everyone's attention this year. From thirsty middle school infants to bitter and jealous adult men. Yes, it's me, I'm adult men. There isn't a single person who hasn't been touched by Song Jin-woo. That man is on a generational run, and the crazy thing is, it's not ending anytime soon. I can only see this spreading and spreading fast. If you thought isekai was a brain-off genre, it is. Well, don't you worry, because we're getting another one in the name of System. System is basically a genre of stories where the MC gets to play old school RuneScape by themselves. Level ups, classes, quests, skills, item drops, stat boosts, you get it, it's an MMORPG. And for the most part, it's only given to the main character because if everyone had this ability, I doubt Mr. Slim Jim Woo is gonna solo level harder than juiced up Fursona on an even playing field. That's just me. Look, I'm not here to pull a wool over your eyes. This is peak wish fulfillment fantasy, and I genuinely believe there's nothing wrong with admitting that. It clearly has its place, and it's the same reason why isekai became the cultural phenomenon it is now in the anime industry. My point is that one preliminary look at these two shows a lot of striking similarities. I mean, just take a look at this. Weak and feeble nerd gets bullied for being weak and feeble, becomes hot in the span of 10 minutes, and now everyone loves him. Or how about this? MC obtains an infinite amount of skills that just so happens to be the one thing he needs at every single moment. Or how about this? Women. Of course they do have their differences. You know how in isekai they're always transported to a medieval fantasy Europe to live a new life? Most of the time in System stories, the setting is just a shady apartment in Seoul, South Korea.
Shiba Seki fucking.
Oh, and you have to enter a dungeon or tower. For some reason, these stories love entering the back rooms to see who goes the furthest. Tower of God, God Game, Martial God regress to level 2, level up with the gods, God's web novel, Night King return with God. God damn, there are a lot of tower climbing manhwas. So aside from a couple specific nuances that separate the two, System has all the bells and whistles of what made isekai so easy to watch. You introduce a poor little worm to the world, you make sure people hate him for no logical reason, that part's important. We can't side with the bullies. Now make him strong, fight the bullies, and rinse and repeat until the end of the story, or you run out of women who want to fuck his buff worm body. And the scariest part is, it's incredibly, super duper easy to follow this formula and recreate it. Case in point. What I love about Solo Leveling is that it never tries to become anything more than it actually is. Take Baki for example. One look at this anime tells you everything you need to know. You're probably gonna get fisted. Now imagine the people in Baki started saying shit like,
"We mustn't act this way, for the circumstances of our births may have dictated our insanely roided up war machines for bodies, but they do not confine us to such nonsensical violence simply for the fulfillment of one's ego. We are better than this."
I'd be like, what the fuck? That's so gay. When do they start fisting each other? As much as I want to buy this guy's alpha male course right now, that's not what I'm watching Baki for. I watched it to see two men fighting one-on-one, muscle for muscle, tip for tip, not a lecture. Like Baki, Solo Leveling knows what you want. It knows that you want high stakes, high intensity, fast-paced combat without giving you a moment to breathe. The best example I can come up with is the Igris fight. I love how this fight shows you the full scale of the room they're in. Like the moment Igris charges at Sung and the camera zooms out and pans around, ooh, he throws Sung across the room and you can see just how big everything actually is compared to how they drew their tiny models. And then they give us a POV shot, like what the fuck? I don't even know why he felt the need to do this move, but okay. Then Sung goes, swords and daggers can't break its armor. Maybe I have to use my fists. Alright, Manny Pacquiao, go off then. They proceed to give us 2 full, undisrupted minutes of squabbles. I can already see the title and thumbnail for this episode. Solo Leveling is straight hands. Topping it all off with the craziest amount of line work I've seen from this anime so far, and not once did I have to use a single brain cell watching it. The thing with Solo Leveling fights is it never gets to the point where it makes me want to use my brain. Because if I did, I'd realize that the fights are nothing more than hype farms. I remember people glazing the living hell out of the Beru fight, which don't get me wrong, it served its ultimate purpose of giving me a hard-on, but all I remember from that fight was shing shing shing, swords clashing, red and blue lightning jumping across the screen. This is my favorite part. This is what 6-year-old me thought a cool combo looks like while fighting my imaginary friend. I don't know how much I have to emphasize this. I am not saying the fight is bad. I like this, but don't tell me it's anything more than clanking swords and flashing lights every 2 frames. Solo leveling is the embodiment of, this would be anime of the year with unlimited budget. You know, if Blue Lock had good animation, it would be the best sports anime in the world. If Sakamoto Days had better animation, it would be the biggest anime in the world. This is the proof. Solo Leveling is doing that right now. It's literally in the running for anime of the year, all the while doing nothing new. The MC has no flaws whatsoever, the side characters are non-existent, the fights are purely just hype, and yet that's all it needs. We don't want a deep introspective MC. We just want him to be cool. We don't need useful side characters, we just want them to look hot. We don't need well thought out combat, we just want it to look good. Solo Leveling does everything it has to do to near perfection that I can't help but watch in amazement. Sometimes you don't need a thought-provoking story or to introduce new innovative ways for fight scenes. Sometimes you just need a lot of talented animators. I took a long time wondering why I didn't find Sung Jin-woo cringy. I think it's because he earns his powers. By utilizing the level up mechanic and the tower climbing, we actually see Sung's progression from being a wimp to a pimp. He doesn't magically go from E rank to S rank. Except in public, behind the scenes, he grinded his way there. We see it happen when he takes on his daily challenges, takes on the 100 level tower, stops at a certain point because he knows he's not strong enough. Meanwhile, farms bitches and aura at the gates first, then comes back and tackles the tower again. He doesn't clear everything in one go, making his progression seem much more realistic, even though it isn't. A lot of isekais love to speedrun that part, or omit it entirely, maybe because they want to get to the cool scenes as quickly as possible. But I think that's what makes them boring, because now whenever they do something cool, it feels undeserved. If you're gonna make him overpowered, at least show me how he got there. This is what Solo Leveling does well. Remember when I said he wasn't cringy? Sword Art Online was the first ever anime to introduce gaming mechanics. I also love spreading misinformation, but I could give less of a frick if what I said was true, because to me, Sword Art made me feel like I was inside the game. The design of the monsters is recognizable enough to feel a sense of familiarity, but also unique enough to distinguish itself from other anime. The UI is so immersive, it invites you to imagine the endless possibilities you could do with food, weapons, and items. And the dungeon crawling aspect, showing different levels and biomes, makes me want to explore to my heart's content. It genuinely made me forget that if you died in the game, these goofy-ass goggles would melt your synapses. This is a level of immersion that I doubt I'll ever reach. Not even with Solo Leveling. Partly because it's not as good as Sword Art in this aspect, but also because I'm not 12 years old anymore. I don't have the childhood whimsy of believing I could dual wield solo carry the whole of Aincrad on my back. Bitch, I'm silver. I died to the first mob. But for a lot of kids born in the 2010s, this is their Sword Art. This is their entry point. And trying to make fun of and ruin that experience for them would be a slap to my 12-year-old self who got lost in that world. Solo Leveling does a pretty good job of incorporating the video game aspect to the story. The progression is linear. He levels up, acquires new skills, clears a dungeon, and gets new shadows. It's a perpetual dopamine hit that's already built into the concept of video games, so the only thing the author has to do is make the boss even stronger than the last until the end of the story. I do appreciate when the author tries something new with it though. I especially like how in episode 12, he's pushed to the point where you almost believe he's gonna die. I genuinely thought this was the end for Sung before they pulled out the "you didn't do your homework" card, and I was like, that was good. That was good, you got me. They even teased it earlier on in the episode when he said he hadn't completed his dailies yet. Some people will call it plot armor, but the way I see it, as long as you set it up and explain the rules, which they did at the start when Sung first hopped into the penalty zone, then I'll give it a pass. Not gonna lie, I just didn't bother learning the power system at all. This anime is so catered to Sung Jin-woo that it seemed futile trying to question if there was a plot hole or not. I would be sitting there wondering why Sung willingly lets innocent people be murdered before jumping in, and some dude in the comments would be like, he has to do that, by the way. In Solo Leveling, everyone basically dislikes false rankers because they enter lower ranked dungeons. Alright, thanks bro. Happy for you, or sorry that happened, but I ain't reading all that. Solo Leveling is like the gateway drug to the system genre. No wonder it's one of the biggest anime this year. I can only see more adaptations coming in the future because the formula is so easy to recreate, it'd be stupid not to cash in on it. If we compare it to isekai, Solo Leveling is like Mushoku Tensei, where it became super popular, does all the basics really well. When you think of isekai, you think of Mushoku Tensei, and it's a lot of people's first experience with the genre. Then, as you consume more and explore what the genre has to offer, you start to find iterations of the same concept. For example, Eminence in Shadow is a parody of isekai, taking tropes we know like the overpowered main character and actively avoiding that, choosing to become a side character instead. Take that for systems and you got omniscient reader's viewpoint. Basically, imagine if you were reading Solo Leveling and got teleported into that world to fight Song Jin-woo. We are only at the tip of the iceberg. I really enjoyed this anime. I've seen a bunch of people calling it trash and mid just cause it's popular, and yes, the plot and characters are surface level, but the soundtrack, voice acting, and pacing are great. And the animation, specifically the animation, is some of the best we've seen in the last year. Doesn't that deserve as much credit as the discredit people give the story? Anyway, I probably just fell for 1 out of 10 rage bait. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching.